there's times we can make it original. I'll never forget our sermon when we were going to a gospel concert there in the temple several years ago, and I forget who all was there. It was Billy was one, and some of the others. We ate at Luby's. That's before we closed the temple. But we took hands, to say the blessing. I never forget the server. He got in there with us nowadays and said our blessing with us. And I don't think he was working a tip. I think he was sincere in what he was doing and praying with us. And it always kind of impressed me. But Paul did not go into a corner away from all the others to give thanks, but he publicly prayed as a witness to Christ, giving sincere thanks. And I'll have to admit, I'm ashamed to say there's been times years past that in a restaurant, we say prayer. I was kind of shy or embarrassed about saying the prayer because people, well, look at them religious nuts, But I got over it. And no, I don't care either. No. And like I said, I got over it. And I was the one with the problem, and not the ones in the restaurant. And usually, and you'll see some every once in a while that there's a table across from us, and they're stopping to pray. And it says something to me, that they're taking time to give thanks for the meal. Luke writes in verse 36, says, all of them were encouraged. I believe some not only were encouraged by Paul, but by the one true God that he believed. I think some were impressed. Paul's praying to the one true God, and they believed. But Luke records they were, like I said, 276 on board the ship. Did all believe in God? Probably not. But there were those I believe that did. I've been in a few crusades, before, and probably y'all have too, or church services. When the invitation was given, did all that needed Jesus Savior give a response? No.
It wasn't a foxhole, but it was close to being a foxhole.
Yes, right, exactly. Some of them said, get me through this, and then when it's all over, well, God, I didn't need you. I made it through okay. And I think maybe we've been sometimes guilty of that too. We forget that God brought us through. And say, well, and then some say, like I said, well, the old story where the guy on the roof and all this, helicopter came with a boat and all that. And then when it's all over, he slides off the nail and said, I didn't need all that. But when they had eaten and were full, they began throwing the wheat over the ship into the water. Now, this was the last thing that was thrown overboard, and that was the light in the ship. Now, this was their primary source of revenue from this owner. So, can you imagine? I can just see the look on the face of the captain as the grain was being thrown overboard.
See, there goes $1.
That's right.
Our $10.
Right. There goes our money. There goes my profit right there. And that's another story in itself right there. God, I'll give everything up but this. And I think, I'm not going to make a living. I'd rather if I give this up. And we've seen that before. And then we've seen others too that gave it all up for the Lord. And but I think we've seen it where I'll give everything up but this, because I've got to survive, Lord. I got a family to feed.
The older I get, the more I realize I let go of everything but Jesus and me.
That's right. We can let go of it all. But that don't say it's always easy. It's not always easy. And worked hard, yes. And I really do sympathize with people who was here a while back with their house burned, lost everything. And it's all temporal, but still I can't imagine losing everything. That's hard. That's tough. And I remember reading the story about Thomas Edison. He said his warehouse caught on fire. And I forget how many inventions that he was working on, hundreds in that warehouse that he's working on. And it was in the middle of the night. He said, instead of watching it burn, and his son was standing there beside him. looked at his son and said, "Go get your mother. She's never seen a fire like this." Okay. I don't think I would have said that.
No. But you know what, the sad thing is, when we were moving from Lomita, I gave a lot of history away, and hoping that Deborah Jean would take care of it.
Yeah,
She burned it all. She said, "What do I need to know about dead people?" And here I am, you know, I could use that with my new family when that time comes.
right. Yeah, and like I said, it's temporal, but still, it pictures and memories and all that.
That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
The house burned down.
Right. Yeah, and you just, you should put them on your cell phone.
Yeah.
If you drop a cell phone in the water somewhere.
Right.
And Steve was in the military, we used to move every 3 years.
Yeah.
I always take our pictures with us. I would move down just because, you know, they got lost or damaged.
Yeah. Right.
So I have them on a separate card.
Because you wonder, because I have a lot of wolf in me, that's my maiden name, by the way. But who the heck do I look like?
Mhm.
You know, or similar to?
Yeah,
But that's between her and God, so.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. I know when Mother passed away, of course, you know, Mother was a seamstress. She had tarot and had a storage room with all that stuff. It's hard to imagine, but I carried 5,000 pounds out of our house to the trash. And then that's not counting what was outside. And of course, you know, I had to take care of nearly all of it, doing all that. So I told, well, I'm leaving all my stuff for my kids to have to deal with.
You know, if you go down to the store.
Yeah,
I do have a history of water limitations
Mhm.
in the woods too.
yeah.
And I told Michelle, don't ever give it to me.
Mhm.
You keep it,
Yeah.
your family.
Do you see stuff that people, you know, that somebody died,
Yeah,
kids that don't just.
yeah, yeah. I know. I said my kids. I probably would have gone. I don't want it. I don't want it either. You take it. I don't want it.
That's right.
I asked my daughters, what do you absolutely want?
Yeah,
It's another American.
Yeah. yeah,
These people lost their house in one of those fires.
Yeah.
Where the only, everything burned but their wedding pictures.
Mhm.
And here they are nearly 50-something, you know, 40 years later. It's a miracle.
yeah.
Even that quick ship hadn't even been done.
Right. Well, I guess one more story and we better go on. Tyler's father-in-law's pickup caught on fire. It was totaled. He had his Bible laying in the front seat. That Bible was not touched. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how God works and
He said,
the testimonies that He gives us.
I can't pass my Bible around.
Yeah.
It's on the story.
So someone reading out 39 through 44.
When daylight came, they did not recognize the land, but they saw a bay with a sandy beach, which they decided to call the ship aground if they could. Cutting loose the anchors, they left them in the sea, and at the same time untied the ropes that held the rudders. They hoisted the foresail in the wind and made for the beach, but the ship struck a sandbar and ran aground. The bow struck fast and would not move, but the stern was broken to pieces by the pounding of the surf. The soldiers planned to kill the prisoners to prevent any of them from swimming away and escaping, but the centurion wanted to spare Paul's life and kept them from carrying out their plan. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first and get to land. The rest were to get there on planks or on other pieces of the ship. And this way, everyone reached land safely.
14 days, I said they had not seen the sun and stars. You know, the sun and stars were how the captain of the ship navigated the ship. So they were at a loss as to where they were. You know, they needed the light of day and the clear skies of night. You know, I've boasted before, and I think most of us men can say the same thing. We've never been lost, we turned around. You know, you're lost. No, I'm just turned around. When morning came, they saw land, and but not knowing where they were, but they cut the anchor ropes and set sail and heading for a bay and never reached the ship. In other words, the anchors were drag on the ship. So they didn't realize it at the time, but they were off the coast of Malta. The storm had carried them from Crete to Malta, a straight line distance of over 600 miles. There was no telling how many miles that they were thrown around and thrown about. 600 times, no telling how many other miles. But soundings told the sailors that they were close to land. Now, today's ships, they use a sonar to determine the depth of the water, but then they use ropes to determine the depth. They lowered the rope, and you how many fathoms I said, and then they lowered it again, and it was getting closer and closer to the shore. But when I was in my rowboat, I'd stick the oar down in the water. I had thought, well, I'm in shallow water and jumped off and went under. Yeah. But even though their visibility improved, they still had no idea where they were. Can you imagine that? No idea. And they've been 14 days lost. Even though their visibility improved, they still had no idea. And they were off the coast of Malta. The island was a common stop for sailors, but its primary harbor was farther west. They were headed toward what is now known as St. Paul's Bay, which would explain why the terrain looked unfamiliar, because this is not where they normally dock before. So the first step was to cut loose the anchors, like I said, and reduce the drag. Now, before they could reach the beach, the force of the waves and the wind caused the ship's bow to lodge into a sandbar, making the ship immobile. Now, I'm not a sailor, but the bow is the front. Was it? Yeah. Well, the ship had already been under a lot of stress. Can you imagine being thrown around for 14 days? That ship was probably at the point of nearly breaking apart. In the storm, so the ship had already been loaded, but due to the storm in the stern, that's the back, so the ship began to break apart and sink. The soldiers' plan was to kill the prisoners, fearing some would swim away and escape. But the thing is, if they killed them prisoners and arrived in Rome, they were going to be killed.
Yeah.
So they were fighting a losing battle. So the soldiers' plan, like I said, was to kill them, fearing some would escape. But the centurion wanted to bring Paul safely to Rome, commanded those that could swim to jump overboard and swim to land. Now, but then I'm sure the chains have been removed off of Paul. I hope so. And the rest should follow on planks and others on various things of the ship. Anything they could grab a hold of to keep them afloat. Paul knew when the angel of the Lord spoke in verse 23 and told him not to be afraid because you will stand before Caesar, all would be saved. What if the angel told Paul all would perish with the exception of you? I mean, it could have happened. I'm sorry, everybody's going to lose their lives, but Paul, you're going to make it because you're destined to go to stand before Caesar. What if Paul told those on the ship, don't be afraid? Now, Paul could be kind of bold here. What? The Lord needs me, and nothing's going to happen to the rest of you as long as I'm here.
I survived 3 shipwrecks already.
That's right. I've survived through. Don't worry. Nothing's going to happen because God's got plans for me. I mean, of course, Paul was nothing wrong than that. Have you ever heard or known someone said, it's because of me God's blessing this church? Yeah. If I were to leave the church and fall apart in less than 6 months. I hope we're not any of us said that. But there's people that's been like that, Well, this church depends on me. It depends on my time. And wouldn't make it without it. But I always remind you this, I think it was one of the Lottie Moon Christmas office one, but I don't know, I was in the office when one of the members came in and asked the Secretary Treasurer, have we made our goal yet? She said, well, I had to count today. I said, well, let me know if we hadn't made it and I'll put us over. Okay. I guess he wanted to be the one to put us over the goal. But, anyway, Paul and they all arrived. Well, remember Paul Harvey, the rest of the story? They got to land the way.
Me too.
They got there and Paul had they were building the fire. Paul had some wood. He got the viper snake come out, bit him on the hand. It was poisonous. Oh, he's a demon. Paul grabbed him and threw him on into the fire. Then when he didn't die, I thought, gosh, he's a god. Well, I think they spent about 3 months there. Or sometimes about 3 months, I believe. But the mayor or whatever was that town, Paul went and killed his father, who had dysentery and I forget what else, but sick and of course, then like I said, but I think it's
Publius.
what?
Father Publius.
Yes, and so somebody said, oh, okay. But anyway,
It was 3 months.
it was 3 months, and then another ship come along, and they boarded and Paul.
Traditionally, it was another harbor. We needed that harbor.
Yeah,
But it was real rocky.
yeah,
Very angry.
yeah. It's one of the states that is rocky and sand.
But further west of the Gulf Coast, they found the anchors. They're called throat stones, actually. They weren't metal, they were rock with holes in them.
Yeah,
And there were quite a few of them there. They were also used to stabilize
right,
that type of ship
Yes.
because it would flip because it was white too.
right.
And so they cut those. They found those. And then they found timbers near what used to be a sandbar. Now, sandbars moved,
Yeah,
but they found these timbers that dated back to that period.
Did they say how long the swim would have been possibly?
probably been pretty good ways.
It was probably pretty good ways. They didn't really detail on that one, but
I just always pictured with a sandbar, you probably could have stood up and walked waist high. When I was guessing,
Could some of
that journey, that.
Well, and I'm sure the
but
winds
if
and
it's
the
a bar, it
waves.
came up and then it went back down. Yeah, so they would have to swim. But yet, if they turned the sail to shipwreck it, running it around, so the winds were blowing towards the shore.
Yeah,
So they were.
well, I think the ones that got on the swim with the wind, it probably could have helped carry them too.
Right, in the waves, the slap.
The waves, Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that was interesting when they actually found that.
that's right.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Several months ago, we went to Goodwill, that's kind of like our flea market or something. And there was a complete set of the Holy Land, and I can't wait till I can time to go and get there and watch it. I think it's wonderful,
Yeah,
and you can't afford to go yourself.
right. We, right quick, we were, Martin's brother-in-law's boat, we went to, I think it was East Texas. And we got out there in the water, and Will said, "This water's coming in the boat." I said, "No, that's just water, that's kind of splashing." Well, there's more water coming in. I think we better head for shore. Of course, that, when the water is much stronger, when it don't move very fast. When you got the full of water, and of course, finally got to shore and got it there at the dock, and I said, oh, there's that plug. And I said, and I said, put it in the Anyway, we better close, much what you close for us.
Everybody send Father, thank you Lord for this day and the time of study portion of the word, Father. Let us always remember, Father, that we can keep our hand in your hand and you just go to the walk with you, Father, what you do. Father, even our pastor, if you would, even we should serve the Father, but everything we need, pray up.